If you recall, in my preambles, I did mention that one of the critical items of my 7-point agenda is big data gathering. And I gave the reasons that if you are serious about attracting investment into the sector, into the solid mineral sector, you must have efficient data, because it's the efficient data that investors will use to make an informed investment decision. And like you've rightly pointed out, it's very expensive business. Generating data is not just generating any data. Your data must be accurate. It must also be certified by international data certification agencies so that your data would have international recognition. And it is only when that is done that investors all over the world will not think twice before coming into your environment to invest. And yes, you said it's very expensive. I agree with you, it's a very expensive thing. In actual fact, in the year 2024 budget proposal that we submitted, we put about 200 billion. We asked for 200 billion for exploration. And that is data gathering. But because of the paucity of funds generally across board, we couldn't get anything anywhere near that at all. So, in our own lexicology, there is nothing like impossibility. So we put our own creative endeavor into motion. And we are adopting other strategies to secure funding. One of which is a PPP arrangement. In South Africa, I met some companies and I spoke to them, and they are ready and willing to come to us and arrange a PPP project such that they will put counterpart funding or funding, and then Nigeria can put something as a counterpart funding. That is not the only strategy. There are other avenues that we're exploring, even as equity participation project, where we can attract the geoscientific gathering authorities and agencies in the world who have global reputation to come and map out Nigeria, and then we enter into equity sharing arrangement rather than us looking for all the dollars or the millions of dollars. Then we can assign them a few sites as our equity in the project. So there are so many ways to skin a cat, and we are looking at all these possibilities because we must gather the big, efficient data. The second question is relates to minerals. Somebody asked, how do we sort out or identify the minerals that are actually being taken out of Nigeria? That was one big challenge that we met on ground. And we are able to put in place initiatives to surmount that challenge. In fact, when I was in Australia at the African Down Under annual mineral conference, and you know Australia is a big mining country, I was told there that our own lithium in Nigeria is one of the highest qualities, one of the highest grades in the world. Not only that, it's also associated with nickel, with copper. So when you take a rock or an ounce of our lithium, you are not just taking lithium away, you are also taking nickel, you're also taking copper. So we now devised what we call testing centers. My ministry has embarked on the establishment of testing centers. We had one or two before, but grossly inadequate to curtail these very, very rampant practice of operators who would under-declare or not even declare the associated minerals they are taking out. So with the establishment of these testing centers, we are working in conjunction with the customs. I've been having discussions with the customs, with the security, the various security agencies, on ways and means of actually controlling and ensuring that only the declared minerals are taken out of Nigeria. And we've been saving a lot of money for this country in the process. The third one is the EIA, the Environmental Impact Assessment, that There are operators who engage in illegal activities. Now, when an operator is an illegal entity, of course, that operator does not go through the crucibles of regulatory framework. So, if we now, as we have discovered, a lot of connivance on illegal activities in the mining sector are conducted or operated by our host communities, by various categories of Nigerians. Of course, we say foreigners are involved. But no foreigner will come from any country outside Nigeria to come to your backyard without your active participation, connivance, collaboration, and conspiracy. So when we are looking at all of these issues, we should look at them holistically. It is not just enough for government to muster the energy, the security personnel, inject the technologies, without a change of mindset by every one of us. The individuals are involved. It cuts across all elites, traditional rulers, legislature, executive, judiciary, you name it, including the media. Everybody is in one way or the other guilty. So we need a national orientation. We need a restructuring of our mindset to be able to combat some of these things. Yes, in the environmental degradation, we have regulations. Any operator that is licensed by our ministry must submit an EIA report, which is the Environmental Impact Assessment Report, before he is approved. It is only the illegal operator, more constructive uses, like pools, like water conservation, for irrigation, and all of that. So we are converting all of these things, and we are battling the environmental degradation. And henceforth, if you must know, nobody under my watch will be approved to mine without a critical plan for remediation efforts after the mining. Now, the last question concerns security. My friend Bayo from AIT mentioned security, which is also another very critical item on our agenda, combating insecurity. And I did mention in my remarks that insecurity associated with minerals is not peculiar to Nigeria. But we know that anything Nigerian has a gargantuan dimension. That is why our own dimension becomes quite critical and very worrisome. And so, on assumption of office, I made serious, strenuous representation to Mr. President, and not just me, the Minister of Environment, the Minister of Marine Economy, because we noticed a lot of leakages and pilferages in all of these sectors. And the President set up an interministerial committee on securing our natural resources. These natural resources comprise mineral sector, the forest resources, and the marine economy. And this interministerial committee is chaired by me, and we have, in fact, some of my members are here, the ministers of defense. They are members of that interministerial committee, and the Minister of Environment as well. So we got to work, and we subpoenaed all the security agencies, the chiefs of staffs and everybody. We had meetings, and we gave a directive that we needed to put in place a new security architecture to combat all of these illegalities and, terrorism, banditry, anything nefarious associated with the sector. And of course, the work of that committee is still on. However, with peculiar nature of our own solid mineral sector, we couldn't wait. So again, I sought the permission of Mr. President and got an approval to create what we now call the Mines Marshals. And in conjunction and collaboration with the Minister of Interior, I was able to secure over 2,000 strong men from the Civil Defense Corps. And we turned them over to the military. Our ministers are here. They helped us to train them and kit them gave them the real skills to combat all the activities that we believe are untoward in our sector. And if you all recall, a few weeks ago, I unveiled these mine marshals to the public. Today, we have a minimum of about 60 in each state. Not only that, they are well kitted, and we are looking at the other agencies to increase the number. Not only that, we are also injecting a large dose of technology. We are acquiring satellite surveillance to enable us monitor all activities on every mining site in this country, real time, so that we can quickly mobilize and deploy these highly dynamic and mobile mine marshals to combat or stem whatever illegal activities. Today, I'm happy to announce to you that just within some few weeks of operation, the mines marshals have been able to apprehend over 100 or 200 operators, illegal operators in the country. And as we speak here, over 133 of such people are undergoing prosecution right now. And in fact, only about a week ago, 2 foreign nationals were jailed as a result of conducting illegal operation. These were things that never happened a year ago, and they are happening now. And that is to tell you that our renewed hope agenda is working and it will continue to work. Thank you. The management staff of our ministries and my colleagues in the journalism profession. Actually, it gives me very great pleasure to be here with you and to make this presentation on the first anniversary of this administration. As you are all aware, since 1960 until August last year, or let me say symbolically May 29th last year, since 1960, Nigeria had operated a monocultural economy, which means Nigeria had solely depended on oil, wealth or revenue accruing from the oil sector. And what did that do to us as a society, as a nation? In my own considered estimation, Nigeria over the decades failed woefully to efficiently utilize the revenue that accrued to us from the oil sector. And how did we fail to utilize that? We failed to utilize the humongous amount of petrodollars that came into the coffers of this country. We did not utilize this money to sufficiently create a very solid structural economy in other sectors. And one of the most critical sectors that we failed to address over the decades is the solid mineral sector and agriculture as well. In other climes, the monies that they derived from oil, the monies were used to develop other critical sectors of the economy, such that as revenue flowed in from oil, revenues were also flowing in from these other critical sectors. But our story was not like that. However, as we say in our own climb, the past is history. The future is a golden era that we are foretelling. So therefore, since May 29th last year, on the resumption of our president, there has been a major plank of the renewed hope agenda, which is contingent on the diversification of the economy away from oil. And in any case, the reasons are not far-fetched because the whole world is moving away anyway, gradually from oil, because I'm sure you all know what is called global warming. Global warming is caused by the energy sources that we use in the world, of which oil, petroleum, is a critical element. Now, all of these energy sources are being gradually de-emphasized, so that the world is moving towards green energy. And what are these energy sources for green energy? They are critical metals, minerals, solid minerals. And Nigeria is so blessed to have an abundance of these solid minerals underground in our country. And that is why the president made the diversification of the economy a critical plank of his renewed hope agenda. And then in August, we came in as a cabinet, and I was assigned the responsibility of ensuring the diversification of the Nigerian economy into the critical metal sector. So therefore, it is my pleasure today to present to you the modest but impactful achievements that the Renewed Hope Manifesto of the President and our party, APC, recorded in the solid mineral sector, which I superintend over as a minister. Now, first of all, I need to reel out to you the role and mandates of the ministry as given by the office of the President. Number one is to ensure the orderly and sustainable development of Nigeria's mineral resources, develop the mineral sector to contribute to industrialization in Nigeria, to create an enabling environment for private investment, both foreign and local, by providing adequate infrastructure for mining activities, and identify areas where government intervention is desirable in achieving government policy goals and proper perspective in mineral resources development. And number four is to accelerate the development of technical and professional manpower required in this sector. We were also mandated to generate revenue for government through collection of royalties, fees, taxes, and various obligations. We provide information and knowledge for enhancing investments in the sector, working with security institutions to ensure safety and security in the sector through strict monitoring of movement and usage of explosives. In operationalizing the manifesto, the President identified 8 key areas, and these areas were issued by the Office of the SGF. With its vision on the diversification of the economy as a guiding principle, our ministry was identified as a critical machinery for achieving priority in this very, very important sector. We are to unlock the energy and natural resources of this country for sustainable development. Now, given the aforementioned, on assumption of duty, I assembled my team, and after receiving briefings from all departments, all agencies, and having an overview, I came up, my team and I rolled out a 7-point agenda, which would help us in actualizing the mandate of the Renewed Hope agenda as it concerns the solid mineral sector. The appointment, or my appointment, provided a historic opportunity to participate in the strategic conversations on how best and how far our new administration could redeem the promises of renewed hope that the Nigerian people voted for. If you recall, after the swearing in of Mr. President last year, May 29th, a few days later in June, I was appointed the Special Advisor on Special Duties, Communications, and Strategy. And it was during this period that we held very critical conversations amongst the very powerful policy makers in the country, in the administration, and fashioned out the various manifestos for each ministry, and then decided and designed the structure of government as we have today. And that was what led to my assuming the saddle of leadership in the ministry. It was therefore in the course of discussions that it became very clear to us that in unlocking the wealth underground, we had, or the president rather, had to look critically at the choices of people to give this responsibility. The person to assume office had to have certain criteria: character, integrity, credibility, and the passion and a sense of mission that is necessary. So, in rolling out my 7-point agenda, one on the list is the establishment of the Nigerian Solid Minerals Company. You can call it a corporation or a company, but it's Nigerian Solid Minerals Company. Now, this company is to engage in joint venture partnerships with the big players in the solid minerals sector on behalf of Nigeria. We had something like that years back, but it went defunct. So we are revitalizing that instrument because it is very, very important. I will go into the details of that later. The second item on the agenda is gathering of big data. Now, without the gathering of data, geoscientific data in the solid mineral sector, you cannot talk of attracting investment, whether local or foreign investment. Because any investor wants an efficient data, and the data is information about the type of minerals, the volume of minerals, where they are, the tenure or the longevity of the minerals. These are critical information that any investor anywhere in the world requires to make an informed judgment, investment decisions. So, gathering of the big data now forms a critical item on our 7-point agenda. Another one is to promote international investment, and another one, which I mentioned earlier, is the joint venture partnerships with mining multinationals. And then, of course, the fifth, securing the investment environment with mine surveillance police, and of course, injection of large dosage of technology. And sixth, formalization of artisanal miners into cooperatives. And seven, the socio-economic development of the mining communities. And this, I will go to later, has been a recurring decimal in the architecture of insecurity in the solid mineral sector. So combating illegal operations, illegal mining, banditry, terrorism, kidnapping, and all sorts of nefarious activities associated with the sector became a sine qua non for the success and development of this sector. I will go into the details. Number one, the establishment of the Nigerian Solid Minerals Company. Our ministry initiated the necessary legislative framework for the establishment of the Nigerian Solid Minerals Development Company through the proposal seeking budgetary provision for approval in the 2024 budget. The ministry is grateful, therefore, to the committees on solid minerals, both in the House of Reps and in the Senate, for their unalloyed support in ensuring that our legislative framework is fast-tracked. In February this year, the House Committee on Solid Minerals organized a policy dialogue on the draft bill to set up this minerals company. This 3-day robust discourse shed more light on the vision and mission of the NMCDC as a private sector-driven corporation that will be structured to have not more than 25% of government, federal government shares, 25% to the Nigerian public, and 50% to the private sector. Now, this is very significant. This company we are proposing for this sector is ostensibly or superficially to look like NNPC, because NNPC is intervening on behalf of the government. So this proposed company is to intervene in the solid mineral sector on behalf of the Nigerian government. However, that's where the similarity ends. The structure, the equity structure of our own proposed company is vastly different. Our equity structure is to make it substantially owned and driven by the private sector, so that we can leave an enduring structure in place, an enduring legacy for future governments coming after us, such that no government after us will be able to exert any political influence in terms of the managerial efficiency and proficiency of running that company. And that is why we are ensuring that 50% of the equity will go to the private sector, 25% to the federal government of Nigeria, and 25% to members of the public, anybody who desires to own shares. Now, this company, as I speak here, is in the process of maturity, and in due course, I will have the honor and privilege of announcing to you that that company has been fully established and is on stream. We have the Mining Cadastral Office, which is really in charge of licensing of applications in the mining sector. Now, the MCO, we call it the MCO, is mandated to administer the issuance of mining license, and it has been repositioned in the last 12 months since we came in to increase its revenue generation capacity. The EMC Plus application portal, or a software, has been modified to cope with the new challenges. The modifications include completion of recording and archiving mineral title documents, completion of acquisition, geomining, referencing, cadastral centers, and so many. Time will not permit me to reel out the so many initiatives that we have put in place in the licensing of applications to make it easier for applicants, and of course to enhance the ease of doing business in the sector. Only a week ago, I unveiled the DSS, the decision support platform of the ministry, which means from anywhere in the world, not in Nigeria, anywhere on the planet, you can, at a click of a button on your device, see all the information that you require to help you or enable you make investment decision in Nigeria's solid mineral sector. That support system was unveiled last week by me. The efforts to sanitize the operations led to 2 revocation exercises, because one of the critical items on the agenda is to sanitize the operating environment of the solid mineral sector in Nigeria. And towards this end, we discovered on assumption of office that we had a number of people, Nigerians or non-Nigerians, holding titles and failed to remit the normal civic obligations to government, like paying their royalties, paying their taxes, paying their fees, even renewal fees, annual renewal fees, that are as little as 200,000 naira, whereas these people were making away with billions from the Nigerian economy. So that led me into revoking 1,619 licenses by November last year, to send a strong signal that there is a new sheriff in town. It can no longer be business as usual. We are sanitizing the operating environment of the solid mineral sector to enable it assume its pride of place in contributing significantly to the GDP of this country. So we weeded off over 1,600 licenses of operators who failed to meet their obligations to government. Again, just about a few weeks ago, I also had cause to revoke another set of over 900 licenses that had been dormant. Some people applied and got approval for licenses and kept the licenses. Some speculated with the licenses, took money from financial institutions, did not go into the operations of the mining, but use the monies for other things. So I revoked over 900 of such a few weeks ago. These were efforts to sanitize the operating environment of the sector. And believe me, since we did that, more serious investors are coming into the sector, both local and foreign. And at the last count, we had about almost 10,000 applications since we assumed office, fresh applications. And we've approved over 4,000 of such, which means there is a quantum leap in the investment that is coming into the sector, invariably generating more revenue into the coffers of the Nigerian government. I'm told that time is up, but I have a legion of statistics and data to reel out to you, to show you in concrete terms, in empirical formula or format, that there has been a remarkable increase and success of our efforts in all ramifications. One, we have succeeded in opening up this sector, both locally and internationally, that even we raise the consciousness of the average Nigerian to the economic potentialities of the solid mineral sector. Today, unlike a year ago, I receive, and most of my staff received, video clips from members of the Nigerian public telling us that there is a truck carrying minerals from one location to the other. This is a testimony to the consciousness of Nigerians, which was not there a year ago, because of our aggressive marketing, and riveting attention, national and international, onto this sector. Now, again, our marketing of our 7-point agenda internationally has started to resonate. In Riyadh, early this year, I went there with my team to the Future Minerals Conference and presented Nigeria's 7-point agenda for sustainable development in the solid mineral sector. And one of the very significant items of that paper I presented is the issue of local value addition. I made a passionate case there that no more will we allow anybody to cut away our raw minerals out of Nigeria without processing, without refining, without local value addition, without multiplier effect to the economy. And when I presented that in Riyadh, all the African ministers of minerals there became so excited and therefore formed the African Mineral Strategy Group and immediately elected me, Nigeria, as the interim chairman or pro tem chairman of that body. So that shows you the proficiency and efficacy of our policy initiatives in opening up the sector, such that it's no longer even restricted to the confines of Nigeria, but is resonating all over Africa. And today, as the chairman of the African Mineral Strategy Group, all our plans and programs are being replicated in other African countries. Lately, in South Africa, in Cape Town, I was at the Indaba conference, mining conference. You know, South Africa is a long mining country, and they deal with mining almost over a century before us. However, given the efficacy of our own plans, the president of South Africa said it on stage that they were copying the Community Development Agreement of Nigeria, and they were copying it in South Africa. And this is something that we read out and redirected and reviewed and unveiled just about 2-3 months ago. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are so many things I need to tell you, but I'm being prompted to go and sit down. So I will wait for your question and answers to elucidate further. Thank you very much.
As the Honorable